And do you remember the stories, global warming stories of years ago that they focused? There was this little island in the South Pacific, and it was shrinking. And they went out there and they had this mayor standing on just what, like polar bear on a shrinking iceberg. They had this mayor standing on what was left of town hall or whatever. Global warming, rising sea levels were about to swallow up this poor little guy's island nation. And it was used to show that climate change is happening, and this is just a precursor of what's going to happen in New York. There's a problem. This island nation is called Tuvalu, and all of a sudden it's growing. It's expanding. It is getting bigger. It's popping up out of the ocean. It's getting back to where it was. And this is confounding the climate change crowd. It doesn't make sense to them. This should not be happening. There's an accompanying story. This little sinking Pacific island nation, Tuvalu, it's near Australia. It's right next door to Samoa and Fiji. It's there in the South Pacific. And folks, 60 Minutes went out there. Everybody went out there, and this little guy that runs the island, political leaders crying and talking about how climate change is destroying his island nation. And the cameras are showing the tides and the sea level and the waves crashing, and they're counting the days before this little island doesn't exist. And there's nowhere for the people to go. What are the people going to do? They're going to be one day, they're going to be drowning, they're going to be flooded. And it was accepted that this is climate change. This is sea level rising, even though it's not supposed to happen for 30 years. It was blamed on Antarctica melting, and it was dire. It was doom, and it has since been forgotten about. Now, all of a sudden, the island nation of Tuvalu is growing in size. University of Auckland study examined changes in the geography of the 9 atolls and the 101 reef islands between Speaking of, the Bikini Atoll is in it. It's where Fox News gets the blondes. Bikini Atoll. And there's 101 reef island nations in there. They're all coming back. They're all growing. They're sprouting out of the ocean. It's like they're coming back. It's like the sea levels are receding. Do islands really rise and fall? Well, it depends. They can. Then there's a companion story, and this is at the Bloomberg.com, which is an acceptable drive-by media outlet as far as the left is concerned. Climate change just got a little less terrible. Oh, and there's a third story. Research says that the sun is going to have experienced a major cooling period between now and 2050. But the climate change people, that's got nothing to do with climate change. Are you kidding? The sun, that's not a factor. Isn't it? The sun's not a factor in climate. Anyway, nothing's going these people's way. Tuvalu is coming back. Climate change just got a little less terrible. A new analysis rules out the worst case scenario, but without radical change, we're still in plenty of danger. That's the subhead. I love this stuff. When it doesn't infuriate me, I love this because it's so ridiculous. Climate change just got a little less terrible. There isn't any. How about that for a story? How about climate change is as made up and phony as the Steele dossier? That's the way to do it. Climate change is as fake and phony as the Steele dossier, and pretty much that's true. It's been manufactured and created by a bunch of corrupt so-called scientists. There's some 20,000 research papers listed on Google Scholar, a search engine for academics, that mention the worst case scenario for climate change, one where an overpopulated, technology-poor world digs up all the coal it can find. Basically, it's the most cataclysmic, apocalyptic estimate of global warming. This scenario is important to scientists. It focused minds on the unthinkable and how to avoid it. According to a provocative new analysis from the University of British Columbia, it is wrong. Yeah, I have no doubt that it is wrong.